I think we're just about ready to put it all together now. Left hand side inside. Right hand side inside. That's it. So that's holding together nicely, which means the joints are good. That's sitting nicely like that. Those joints are good. And likewise with this side. So all the joints are good and that's not going to fall apart. But what we will do now, and I really don't know, for effect, I think I'm going to put brass screws in here, but it's effect only. You could nail it, you could put hidden screws in it. Yeah, I think brass screws. I'll go and see what brass screws I've got. Well, it's been a couple of days and I've had a look everywhere for some decent brass screws. Can't find them. They don't have them in the hardware shops anymore. It appears all the brass screws are Phillips head, and the ones I've got are a little bit too big for the size of this job. So what I've decided is I'm just going to put ordinary screws in there, and then I'm going to make buttons to go over the top of the screws. As yet, don't know, might make them out of the same timber, or I might make them out of a contrasting timber. We'll work that out a little bit later on. So, because that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to the drill and I'm going to drill holes that are going to be big enough to take the plugs that I'll cut with the plug cutter. So, let's go over to the drill. I might just go a little bit deeper. And obviously, because I'm cutting into the board like this, it also acts as a countersink, so I don't have to use a countersink there to get the screw heads in. They're done. Now they're done, just got to work out how deep to cut the plugs. And you want them a little bit bigger than the depth so you can trim them off later on. Okay, that's 4mm. They're 4mm, so I'm going to cut these plug at about 5 or 6mm, 5.5mm. And then the screw head will go in there, the plugs can go in, then when they're dry, I can cut them off with a chisel or a plane. Let's go back to the drill, but I think I'll do these in ebony so we get a bit of contrast. So I've obviously used a piece before for plugs, and we'll take the forcing a bit out. One good thing and one very annoying thing about this drill, it's got a preloaded chuck key, which means if you leave it in, it falls out automatically, which is good because you don't leave it in and turn the drill off. But it's bad because you can't leave it in. So you can't have it every way, I suppose. Anyway. Okay. So that's the plug cutter in there. You just got to keep an eye on where they land. there you have them. 16 plugs ready to go in. Make sure the hole size is right, which it is. So what we do now is drill the clearance holes. I'm going to be using 6 by 25 gauge, 6 gauge by 25 mil. And the same to the rails. And then just go over it with a chisel, and any bits like this that are poking up as a result of the drill bits, just clean them off so you don't have any dags hanging out. You could just leave it and screw it, but if it's not going to come apart again, just wax and glue on there. I'm just going to use this. This is Type Bond 2. A lot of times I would use high glue, but a lot of people don't have high glue. That's why I'm using this. So we just give that a bit of a long there. I'm not going to bother double gluing this one because it's going to be screwed down as well. Make sure it's home. Now we can pop the screws in. So now we can put the side rails on, and might as well put a bit of glue on them as well, I guess. Just a little bit, not too much, because the screws are going to do the main job, but it's just insurance, if you like. Try not to go past where the timber's going to be sitting with the glue, so then you don't get dried glue where you don't want it. And the last side. So we've got several locking mechanisms. You've got the joinery work with the rebates and the dados. You've got the gluing, and also you've got the screwing of it. So it's going to be pretty darn stable. And there you have a really nice, stable footstool or foot stand or whatever it is you want to use it for. And it was made out of, if you can remember, just some timber that was hanging around the back of the yard. What I will do is I'll put the plugs in